always like to start off with box office.
Yep, and we have two reports to go through here
Yeah.
because since we missed last week, we missed out on the debut of Argyle, which might be one of the biggest bait and switches aside from Madam Web, and we'll get into why that is later. but
Yeah.
but it came out, it had a 17 million opening weekend, which this really anemic year it did all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it could leg out. Nope, 64% weekend over weekend drop because you can't promise us a Henry Cavill spy movie when Henry Cavill is a hallucination of the main character's mind because she's an author and Henry plays the character that she imagines in these situations.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not gonna sell tickets.
Well, it'll sell a few tickets the first weekend, and then the word will get out.
Yeah.
Um, Meanwhile, Lisa Frankenstein had an absolutely embarrassing first weekend, less than $4 million on 3,000 screens.
Oh man. That's yeah, and I've heard that that movie is not very good.
No. So because our two it's here. Now I guess Argyle would have debuted in late September, or no, late September, late January. Yeah,
Yeah. Um
actually no, it was it was the first major February release, I think.
okay, yeah.
Because yeah, this is showing the second weekend. Yeah, so since both of our February releases have face planted so far,
Yeah.
uh, the box office in the top 10 was rounded up by The Beekeeper, worth a watch,
Yeah.
Wonka, which is just refusing to die,
Yeah.
60 days from its original release,
Yeah.
Migration, which, whoa, it managed to actually get past 100 million in the States.
Well,
Because what else is there to take kids to?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um, The Chosen, season 4, episodes 1 to 3,
Hmm?
brought in an impressive 12, or excuse me, less impressive 2 million, but 12 million net for a niche product like that's a
Yeah.
Fathom event is not bad at all.
Yeah, and for a series that's crowdfunded, yeah, that's really good.
Yep. Anyone But You is still continuing to kick around 8 weeks into release.
Yeah, well, now we got two movies with Sydney Sweeney in them this
Yeah,
week.
one of them is much better than the other.
Yeah,
I haven't even seen Anyone But You, but it has to be. It just has
yes,
to be.
yeah,
We've got the Mean Girls, the musical.
yeah.
Um, and then we have the re-release of Dune,
Mm.
bringing in an extra million and change. Which, boy, that's kind of embarrassing for these Pixar re-releases that we've been having.
Yeah, yeah. can't, can't even crack the top 10 and with those.
Yeah, and it's also considering that Dune not only has been available on streaming since it launched, it also even had a theatrical release at the time.
Yeah.
So, and that's of course to get people hyped up for the movie that's coming out in a few weeks. The
Yes.
second
Yeah.
half. Then in top 10 is American Fiction, which I actually have ended up owning digitally because it came out and I didn't think I was going to go to the theater to see anything, and I assumed it was out of theaters. So
Uh,
you can look forward to that as a review next week or the week after.
nice.
Um, and then, yeah, speaking of turning red, another 500,000 debut for a straight to streaming Pixar movie.
And
Yeah.
1,500 screens. Jeez.
Yeah. And Ninja asks, how did you manage to make a bait and switch on Madam Web? Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Uh, but for this year, because Valentine's Day fell on a Wednesday, a lot of movies, including Madam Web, ugh, decided to launch on Wednesday. So we also have a quick Wednesday here, and The big surprise here is the Bob Marley One Love biopic cracking 14 million, which for reference
Oh,
is a 1 day total that is not far off from Argyle's opening weekend
wow.
of 18 million.
Hmm.
So this could be the first bona fide, don't have to squint or make excuses or wait for it to leg out hit of the year.
Oh yeah. Wow, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I guess a lot of people want to watch a movie about Bob Marley.
Yeah, very popular guy. That's I could, so it'll be interesting to see how this goes out into the weekend, because I suspect that th- this weekend is going to be hard to compare because not only are the new releases dropping on Wednesday,
Yeah.
which is going to take off demand from the weekend, but this is also a 3 day weekend coming up for President's Day.
Mm,
So
yeah.
that means that we're going to have people making 4 day weekend comparisons if something bombs or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So it'd be a interesting. It'd be an interesting look at the box office next week. Let's just
Yep.
put it that way.
That's here. Meanwhile, Anyone But You was at number three, which makes sense because what other rom coms are there?
Right on Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Yep. Uh, Lisa Frankenstein. Nope, sorry, still number five.
Yeah. Yeah.
Argyle. Yeah, I could see Argyle being a date movie. Yeah,
Yeah. I've heard it's kind of it has like a romantic subplot with it.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I keep skipping over number two, Madam Web, which brought in 6 million on its opening day, which that is actually better than I anticipated. Truth be
Yeah.
told,
Yeah.
I guess it shows you the power of the Spider-Man brand, even when Spider-Man is only very tangentially in the movie, which I will explain when we get to the review.
Yeah.
Then the rest of the top 10, nothing new. I can see why people wouldn't think of Beekeeper as a date movie.
No. Jason Statham action movie. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Um, yeah. So I guess in conclusion, Madam Web isn't looking good, although it was a very cheap movie at 80 million.
Yeah. And
And
hopefully they didn't spend all that much on the marketing.
yeah, so who knows? It would be a hilarious world we'd live in if it outgrossed the Marvels or Wish. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
um, Anything else worth bringing up here? Oh, Turning Red made so
61,000.
1,000. Oof, 39 per theater. Uh, At
Oh god, that's like what
two or
like
three people. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's not very many.
No.
Jeez.
Oof. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
Um, but before we, yeah, Ninja says this is embarrassing for Disney. Yes, it is.
It's yeah.
But mind you, I should say this is an anemic box office all year. In January is usually a dead zone, but
Yeah.
it. I think this is. Actually, we can. You know what? Let's do. No, we're not going to do this live.
Okay.
It would be interesting to see how January 2022 and 2023 and 2024 compared to one another.
Right. Yeah. Probably 2023 might be a little better, but I don't think by much.
Yeah, yeah.